When it comes to living with less, the one thing that I feel that is like a huge benefit, and I feel like this is the one thing that people tend to forget, is the feeling of walking into a house and not having a bunch of clutter around. This is something that a lot of people take for granted. Not for me or my partner. Like, my partner goes to different properties constantly for his job and he sees how other people live. We're not judging. We are not judging, okay? I know everyone lives a different lifestyle, but when he comes in here, he tells me all the time on how peaceful our house feels because we don't have a bunch of things around. Our closets are not jam-packed with like things that we don't use, not like just in case items. Like, we don't have that much stuff in this apartment. Like, moving usually takes us less than 5 hours. The biggest items when it comes to moving, like the most time consuming items, is like the couch, the desk, like the furniture, not the amount of things that we own. When it came to the closet next to the bathroom, I know you guys just seen like an updated video of that closet. I just redid that closet again and decided to declutter a lot of things in it and just keep that closet as a linen closet. So it just has washcloths and towels, and then up top it has like Milo's toys. I'll do a video on that too, on how I decided to declutter a lot of our closet spaces. But moral of the story, I know I'm all over the place. What I'm trying to say is one of the biggest benefits of owning less is the amount of reduced clutter you have. When you adopt a minimalist lifestyle, or once when you start decluttering, you start to see the beauty in your home and you start to see certain little benefits you've never seen before. You know, when it comes to a garage, I see a lot of people online decluttering their garages because they were using their garages as storages, not what it was intended for, which is to put your car in there. Once when you start to declutter, you will realize how much money you have wasted on pointless items. You'll also help people in need too, because when you're decluttering, you can donate a lot of stuff. I have donated so many bags of clothes, kitchen items, food that we're not eating, like food in cans that you don't consume. Like, there's a lot of food banks that will take those food items that you're just not into. You kept it as like a backup plan. There's a lot of food pantries that will take them. There's a lot of shelters that will take used blankets, used towels, a lot of animal shelters. You would be amazed how easy it is to declutter and get rid of things, and the feeling you have with coming home from work or just coming home in general. The feeling that I have is like peacefulness. Like, our house doesn't have a bunch of junk and it just feels like home. It feels like a breath of fresh air. And I know that's not for everybody. I totally get some people like artwork on the walls. Some people like, you know, a different style. And I totally get that. But what I'm trying to say is make sure what you have in your house is what you need and things that you use. Because if you don't, I guarantee you're gonna have a bunch of junk lying around and you're gonna run out of space very, very fast in your house. Whether you have a 3-bedroom house or 4-bedroom house, if you have a bunch of stuff you do not use, your 4-bedroom house is going to feel like a small studio because every room is jam-packed with things. So that's one of the biggest benefits that I have noticed with owning less. And my partner and I talk about it all the time. Like, when we get a garage, if we ever get a garage, we would just want to put our cars in the garage, you know, what it's intended for. That's it. It's not like camping gear, this gear, this gear. Like, we don't want to store a bunch of things that we're not going to use in the long run. It's just going to take up unnecessary space. Another benefit of owning less is financial savings. When it comes to owning less, you start to realize that you buy less, you need less. The money that you are going to spend on pointless items, you can now put it towards yourself, or you could put it towards an early retirement, or you can put it towards an emergency fund. The amount of money you have left over, once when you realize what you have is what you need, once when you get out of that shopping addiction, you will be amazed on how much money you have left over from your paychecks. And I've talked about this so many times before. I've given quite a few examples around the times where I was making good money, and I did put most of it towards savings. I ended up purchasing a nicer car, so a car that would get me from A to B a lot better than the car that I had before. I was able to do all of these amazing things, like all of these things that, you know, helped me get further in life. I was able to do that because I wasn't spending my money stupidly like I was in my early 20s. So owning less can be a huge, huge benefit when it comes to finances. Even if you're only making like $32,000, $27,000 a year. I know things are expensive these days, but when you stop spending your money on Amazon and like little trinkets and little things here and there, and start just spending the money on, your bills and things that you actually need, you would be amazed on how much money you have left over. And the money you have left over, you can do a lot more with it. Like, instead of spending it on material items, you could put that money towards your Roth IRA, or you could contribute more to your 401k. You can put money towards multiple emergency funds, whether you have an emergency fund for your car, pets, a household emergency fund. You can go on a small vacation, explore more in the world. Instead of having your house filled with things, you can actually do more with not having your house filled with things. I hope it makes sense. I know some people are going to come after me in the comment section for saying all this, but you could do a lot more, and you could start to realize a lot more when you stop spending your money on silly things. Obviously, it all depends on someone's situation. I totally get that. But the biggest problem we have in the US, I think, is overconsumerism. A lot of Americans love to buy things they do not need. So when you cut that out, your budget is going to flourish. Like, your finances are going to flourish. And that is the one lesson that kept me afloat. Even with hard times right now, financially, I'm not making a lot with YouTube, and I'm currently still looking for a job. I know I say that a lot, but looking for a job is a job. With me living with less, knowing what I have is all I need, it helps me stay grounded. It helps me stretch out the money that I'm making right now from YouTube, pay some bills with it, put a tiny bit into savings just so my savings doesn't completely plummet. It just helps out so much. It's crazy how owning less can switch your mentality when it comes to the stores and just wanting more and more and more. I'm noticing the older I'm getting, the less things I want, the less things I desire when it comes to material items. And the last benefit when it comes to owning less, and this is one that I feel like no one brings up when it comes to making these videos or talking about the benefits of owning less, and that is just overall happiness on, not following the crowd anymore, not following trends, like just doing what's best for you and not for everybody else. The first 2 years of me adopting a minimalist lifestyle, I was like, why was I following the crowd so much? Why was I following the crowd so much in my early 20s? And I find myself like the total opposite now. When the Stanley Cups were popular, when, what was it? Oh, the Barbie movie, everyone was wearing pink and buying pink. I don't follow crowds anymore. Like, I had my fair share of doing that. With owning less, it has taught me how unique I am, and how doing what I need for myself and also my little family is far more important than following any other trend out there, whether it's material items, fashion items, movies, music. For the first time in my life, I do what I like to do. I don't follow the crowd anymore. I will be honest though, the one thing that I fell into, which was a trap, was skincare last summer, and that was because I wanted to feel pretty and I wanted to look good on camera. Even though I'm not doing my hair these days, I have gained weight, so I was trying my best to have like decent skin when it came to being on camera all the time. And I did go towards like the Korean skincare route, the Amazon skincare route, and it just wrecked my skin. So that was like the cherry on top of like, Kiara, you want to keep following trends? This is what happens every time you follow a trend. And it's so true. Every time I follow a trend, it backfires. And when I go my own route, it seems to work out. So I do want to say that owning less has taught me, one of the biggest benefits, and that is to focus on my own happiness and not care too much about what others are doing out there in the world. And I will say, sometimes you do feel out of the loop. It's not always perfect. It all works out at the end. Trends come and go, so you won't be lost forever. So just do what's best for you. And I had to learn that over and over again. And I'm just realizing it more now that when I used to spend more money, I used to follow the crowd more on like trends. And now that I own less, spend less, I don't care what's going on out there. I don't care who's buying what cup, what pair of pants, what shirt. I don't care how people are doing their hair. Again, I just do what's best for me. So it taught me to be more of an individual, I guess you can say. On that note, I hope you enjoyed, and let me know down below, what is your biggest benefit of owning less?